Hi BookTube, it's Gina and I'm here today on a Thursday to do a tag. I missed Tuesday, so I'm gonna do it today and I'm not gonna wait until next Tuesday because I like this tag and I'm ready to talk to you. The tag is called an Ex-Lurker Tag, and it was created by Kate Luna. I have not watched her original video, so I might go down and do that, but I will definitely link it below, of course. And I was tagged by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading. And so I'm gonna get started on this tag. The questions are, 1, what has been stopping or is it stopping you from leaving comments or starting a booktube channel? So those are two pretty different questions. I think on the comments question, I think this is a really interesting question because I have been watching YouTube/booktube for a long time, and I've primarily watched the bigger booktube channels. And honestly, I don't remember even when I kind of smushed over from watching YouTube to booktube. I have a terrible memory, so I don't remember. But I do know that the booktube channels that I was watching for a long time were the big UK ones. So Jen Campbell and Mercedes at Mercedes Bookish Musings, and Lauren at Lauren in the Books, Lauren Wade. So you know, a lot of those kind of big booktube channels in the UK, and I love them. They're wonderful, but they don't, you know, they've got thousands of subscribers, they get hundreds of comments, they don't have time to answer every comment. So I just wasn't in the habit of leaving a comment in general, just because I never expected a response, and I don't, because their channels are so big, they've got so many followers. So when I started watching some of the smaller booktube channels and realizing that there was a little more interaction going on, I really just started to get a whole new appreciation for the world of booktube and what the small communities are capable of. And right around that time was probably right at the end of last year, I would say. I'd been watching like Steve Donahue and a lot of booktube channels, but when I finally realized there was all of these like 1,000 subscribers, smaller, some a little bit bigger channels, I just opened up my mind. And so I started watching Kelly's channel, Books I'm Not Reading, and Kelly she's so encouraging of booktube and of small booktubers. And at that time, I hadn't even considered starting a channel. So moving from comments onto me starting my channel, the question is, what was stopping you from starting a booktube channel? And it was just that I didn't have any concept that it was something I could do, because it seemed like just a big production. And my brain was not really capable of, I didn't want to have to think of creating fancy graphics and thumbnails, and maybe eventually I will get to that, because I do think as I've started to get comfortable with it and learn more things, those are tasks and little jobs that I think would be fun. But back to why I started my channel. Kelly, if you have watched any of her videos, is almost always saying, if you want to start a channel, if you've even thought about it even a little bit, you should do it. And I made a comment on one of her videos about something about how I had sort of considered starting a channel, and she zoomed in and said, you should start a channel. And I went, why have I not started a channel? Maybe I could do that. And so I just, so I just started a channel, and an ad just came up on Kelly's channel. Where did that come from? So I'm sorry, I'm looking at my computer here to look at the tag questions. So I started my channel. I'm so glad that I did. I've been having so much fun. It's so much fun to get comments, to respond to comments. So I've just been really having a good time. And question number 2 is, you've already left a bunch or a million comments under booktubers videos. Do you remember the very first comment you left, and did you get any reply? I have no idea. I cannot remember. Chances are I did not get a reply if I was commenting, just because like I said, I was on those big booktube channels, and unless you get on there and leave a comment very early on, they don't have a chance to kind of get to it by the time they get 100 of comments. So I don't remember the answer to that. Pick a book which you've read because of the booktubers review. It has to stand out, be one you either loved or hated with a passion. And this is a Jen Campbell book, so it's a good example because that was one of the booktubers that I was watching years ago. I've been watching her channel for a long time. This is The Museum of You by Kara Spray. And this was a wonderful, wonderful book, fiction about a young girl who's just trying to find her way in life. And the tag is, this summer, Clover Quinn wants to find the missing pieces of her story. And I loved this book. It was really good. And if it weren't for Jen Campbell, I would not have bought this book and read it and loved it. So, so this is a good example of that. Let's see, the next question is, tell us a bit about the book you're currently reading. Is it any good? Could you read a passage from it which you loved or found ridiculous? And oh, I can certainly do that because I am reading right now A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I think I probably showed you this book maybe in a TBR because I was going to be doing this with a read along. And this is wonderful. I'm loving this book. I'm actually reading it also on my Kindle. I've got a library copy so that I can read in bed. And the paragraph that I want to read you is about Francie, who is the young 11-ish, 12-ish age girl that's the protagonist of the story. And it's when she goes to the library. And the quote is, "The library was a little old shabby place. Francie thought it was beautiful. The feeling she had about it was as good as the feeling she had about church. She pushed open the door and went in. She liked the combined smell of worn leather bindings, library paste, and freshly inked stamping pads better than she liked the smell of burning incense at high mass. Francie thought that all the books in the world were in that library, and she had a plan about reading all the books in the world. She was reading a book a day in alphabetical order and not skipping the dry ones." Wonderful. And the whole book is, it's about poverty, so it's got some hard things in it, but it's also just wonderful and really, really great stories. Really enjoying that. And the last question is, do you keep a reading journal? And I have not ever kept a reading journal, which totally bums me out. Kelly showed her reading journal on the video that the tag she did. And I wish I had kept a reading journal because I don't remember anything that I read when I was younger. I mean, remember a few things. I read a lot of Danielle Steele in high school and Sidney Sheldon and those kind of romance books, and I loved them, but I just cannot remember. So I actually did start a reading journal when I saw this tag. I went back to January and I started in just a plain old notebook writing down the books that I'm reading, and I also do track them on Goodreads. So I do like Goodreads. I pop my books that I finished in there. I really just use it as a tracking mechanism. I don't review, I don't join in a lot of the stuff that's happening there, but I do use it to just keep track because I like to kind of see a running list. So maybe a paper journal will end up replacing that. I doubt it, but I do want to start keeping a journal. We'll see. I have this tendency to start thinking I want to plan and journal and track things, and I'm just not much of a chronicler. I get all excited about it, and then I forget about it and it goes away, and I think, well, I don't really need that. I'm never going to look back at it anyway. So I don't know. All right. And so lastly, there's who am I going to tag? And there's a whole bunch of new booktubers that I've really been enjoying that I want to tag, and I don't want to forget anyone. So I'm going to leave a whole list down below of some of the favorite channels that I have been watching. No obligation for anybody to do this. If you want to do it, it's fine. If you don't feel like doing it, I'm not offended, but I would like to just list out some of the new channels that I've been watching because there's some really fun new channels, and I've really been enjoying watching them. Thank you, BookTube.